So millennials, in closing, again, the sales blog compass for the week of April 20th to 27th, and the intention or the goal or the objective of the compass is to give direction. So really just body, mind, and spirit leadership directives, for your person or organization. So you can go with that, and it's a good one. I've come up with a design here that I think works well and has a fit with anyone in their organization or vestige, whatever they're doing. Bernie May here at Connections Consulting. I'm using it in my own, but I'm speaking it and preaching it out to you guys over the internet. What if the internet ever went down and all this end time stuff? Then what, hey? I mean, we're going to live in huts again? I don't think so. I've got my little nice condo here, but I probably know about 2 or 3 different acreages that are abandoned right now as I look around the countryside. Maybe some drug lord bought them off or whatever and was living in them for a while. I don't know what. We're a very highly populated acreage area, and then lakefronts around Sylvan or Chestermere Lake and all that, and maybe somebody, blew another guy away and he ended up in a dumpster and his house is sitting empty, but I know they're empty. But what do I want? I mean, I'm one guy, an individual living alone. And you think about stuff, we're at the end, so what matters? If the internet went down and all that, we got to look at just how to keep our life working. And simple, but what's your plan B? This is our A game right now. We're working on our A game constantly, and we'll keep working on it that way. But how are you going to do stuff? There was a long time ago, I wasn't all that interested in social media because I just had a book of business going all the time based on my reputation. I'd go talk to people, get my next contract, right back from the days when I started with Jeff Giles of Wolf Tracks Micronutrients, now Compass Minerals, I suppose, as he sold out his vestige for $90 million across the border to not Decatur, Midland Park, I think it's in Illinois, I forget now, down that eastern USA, but that was my first project as I launched out. When I left Agritrend Agrology, I was probably going to be there longer, I was expecting, but I reorganized them and worked myself out of a job, so I started into my project work with Wolf Tracks, and that was a vestige a while ago, but my intention was to travel the States with them in Western Canada for 3 years, and I did that. My good friend Jeff Giles, who I met back in my UGG days when he was working with me and I him, the corporate sales management type work, and he's my boss then, but we're friends now, and both got our own entrepreneurship. But I learned to travel, and I suppose what I learned, Jeff thought he was going to teach me more about brand marketing, but I really learned, from him one thing, and I learned another thing, how to apply it in my own self. What I learned from him was how to take over the world in terms of your marketing structure, was to work big and then work backwards and get smaller. And I did that because I had a large territory, and in the end, when I left it, there was 3 of us that came in as I vacated. To take over the book of business, I increased, but my intuitiveness is what really created the big increase down there that resulted in the end number when I was leaving. Is I just really learned how to be at the right place at the right time, and I was in the right state because I'd fly in and out, right? I was based here in Alberta, but I'd fly in spend a week traveling. It was a deal I negotiated, so I didn't have to be on the road for 3 weeks or 6 months at a time. I had a family at home, and my kids were just one and half a year and 2.5 years old. Small family, but they were there. So my desire was to always be home on every other week. So I'd go do that, and part of the thing is figuring out where do I need to be, which state, which week, which province, which part of the province, to be touching base with the right people at the right time who were needing more product, because really, so they'd put in an order. And the whole sales idea is to meet people's needs, the customers' wants and needs, and try to get along with them well, but get them what they need when they need it. And that was the goal. So the better I could be at being there when they needed me to get them what they needed, that was the ability. So I kind of went from fine-tuning that from a retailer level, where I was more sitting at home waiting on the business to come in, and then periodically going out and chasing it around, just as you felt you needed to. But they knew where to find you, so that was like 80% of the business, is they knew where to find you and come in and get you, and then you'd go get them the other 20% of the time. Well, that went to a whole different structure. So I have that in my vestige, how to teach those principles, and just the pragmatic approach of going and getting the business, what to do, how to go in to the companies, how to go in, drive into the farmyard, and don't get threatened off by a rifle at the door because there's been too many not tourists, but robbers and thieves coming around, and now you're a salesman or salesperson. How do you have the guts to go do that? It's a different world. But and it's a different economy, and the commerce and trade and lingo is a bit different, but kindness always wins. And I keep preaching this and speaking it to everyone. Even I show you on my timeline on YouTube, I got a gun video of a girl with guns. And we're the gurus here, we're teaching this, I'm the guy. But kindness always wins, because if you're being kind to others, that diffuses everything. I mean, an enemy can't even refuse your kindness. And it's not fake. You can't be fake and sleaze people over with your schmoozing and smooth talk, and that's no good. Because the minute you're around the corner, you're stabbing them in the back or being some loudmouth bashing them. That's no good. I'm talking about genuinely trying to get along with people, even if your causes aren't, well, maybe they're colliding once in a while, so you got to work that stuff out, eh? But, I talked about this in a different video. Pray for your enemies. Pray for your friends alike. Just be good with them. Be good friends to your friends, I suppose. And the ones that aren't, just try to get along. And, diffuse anything you can in between you. The more commonality, the more. Apostle Paul, in the old vestige of the interest of the wisdom of history and the biblical overview I look into and dig into, professes, find all things in common. So the more you can increase that number and get more of it in common, the better. I would venture to guess if I was married to somebody again, and I might be, you never know. This is our year of the Lord, 2020. I might find good favor this year. Maybe number 5 will come along, and number 5 in the Roman numerology study is the number of mercy. Well, I think that would go good with me, both on the attribute of giving that out, the mercy, and having it received. Handing it into me would be great. A two-way street. But, maybe the mercy would be going to a pawn shop to find a ring. Some little cheapy outfit that just wanted the symbol and just wanted to get along and have the mercy. And if you can be yoked together doing a commonality, I would venture to guess even people that are on a 70% wavelength on the same page could get along good and have a good mercy cause together doing something, as long as you agreed not to fight about the 30% where you don't agree. And that could be. But I think the more you get up that curve closer to the 100%, the more likely you are you're going to get along. But this is what I'm saying anyhow. I'm thinking 70% would be a good bottom. Because the less you have in common, I mean, you know how that ends up. But even, two people working on some causes, and I got my company all carved out. It's basically set. You don't always know what you're doing when you start something. You have your vision and dream, and you unroll it, and things change and unravel, and you get started. And you're not going in a new direction, but it adapts a bit. And well, I believe with my 14 entities now, all in this company businesses in the collective group of Connections Consulting, the group. I believe it's all on the table now. It's just a matter of getting the work done, getting the loan financing in place, having some of my customers pay their bills from last year's work, and then adeptly getting people in place to take on parts of the causes. Well, a wife could do that, I suppose. I'm not saying I'm necessarily looking one where I'm laying down everything and going chasing to find a wife, but you know what? You dream it, you do it, and things just happen. And you look in the door one day and somebody came to visit you, and there she is sitting in your chair with you, and it's like, wow, now you're having pizza or a meal or something and talking and going on a little hike or something, and you know how life is, right? And I'm a bit of a romantic that way. I'm this online dating stuff. It's gotta be simple for people. And this is where the intuitiveness comes in with the King Lions dating extra care services that I'm offering. Is people finding each other have to be able to connect intuitively, more like we do in our own human nature, because if it's too calculated, it's like you're filling out a degree application to get a degree in something, and you're not. I mean, you're not there to learn about something from the other person or vice versa. You're there to meet each other and get along socially. It's not one person educating the other and adept to nerving it up and having a big fight. Nobody wants that. So I think some of these dating services have probably evolved and have become a bit better. But I know when they first come out, it's like, man, I can't even fill out all these questions. This is intense. It's way too intense. It's like, what the heck are we going to talk about when we actually get to know each other? And I think it's too calculated because it takes out all possibility of providence and chance and fate, where two people might just collide and make a good pair and meet and get together. How you look at the profiles online, it's like, oh, I think I like that certain gal there if you're a guy, or vice versa if you're a girl, that certain guy. And then you press the button to send your thing, and it's like, no, this person's only receiving requests from, you're not in her category. Well, how, so okay, maybe you were like a half a year too young or too old or something. And I don't care if it's a younger person. I mean, if I was to meet someone again, they can be younger than me. It doesn't have to be somebody my age. They could be, you know what? I see some of these guys around the world, they've married people. I can name lots of examples. A gal 30 years younger than them, and they team together, and they're doing great things in this world. And you can see there's a lot of kindness between them, and that kind of loving kindness that I suppose they're meant to share. So it can go anywhere, but you work with it. And I think the perfect thing in the perfect world is two people just have to be willing and not really fight too much about it. But it's not really my cause of my arm, but I'm an open door now when maybe I wasn't for a long time, and maybe other people that I sort of tried a little bit weren't either, right? We're in a different economy. It's more of an economy of surviving and getting along, I suppose. So you got to do that. But you can do that. Why do it alone? I mean, you don't have to. And then I spent the last 10 years just kind of working and focusing on me and making sure I was taking care of my kids, being there for them responsibly when I was supposed to meet, and loving them accordingly, and being goodwill there, and just being a good dad. And it's been good. I loved it and enjoyed it. But there's new seasons that come, so here you go. So in my COVID structure right now, to switch gears a bit, we've reamped our model a bit for the year. We've scaled down. We've cut back some of our corporate programs. I had another book of 13 courses and adventure outing retreats on the books, private for corporations, other than the ones I've posted publicly for anybody to join up to, individuals, people from companies or whatever. So we've scaled it in half in anticipation that a couple things. Right now, we're trying to respond to COVID like everybody and just look after our own health here at Connections Consulting, me specifically. And so your time is taken up a bit with that and all the things you do, groceries and keeping up abreast of the media. But then in business, although we're forecasting future and got our eye on the horizon, you can't be too intrusive either in an economy where everybody's scaled back. You can't really push your wares, and so it's just a different market. It's more tentative, so we reduced, and but we'll be okay. I think our game plan is half of what it was as we started the year, and that's fine. We'll get through this, and I think we all got to have that attitude to suck it up a little. So we're going forth, and part of that is knowing, having your eye on the mountain you're going to climb, and that's one of the topics that was in Sales Blog, and we're doing video this week. You find us in the written form on Compass and Sales Blog on the Badco Training Vault each week. And, open that up, Bernie May, Connections Consulting, Badco, CCI, Training Vault timeline for teaching and training, that blog. And we go with that, and we're talking about climbing a mountain, and that's a comparison to business. As you're visioning forward what you're going to do, you got to decide first what mountain are you going to climb. Then you see the peak, and it's like, okay, how do we get there? You determine the best course on the mountain range, I suppose, up through the valleys. You wind up, you might, go on some of the ledges and crevices and traverse back and forth and wind your way up. And, there probably won't be a fault line on the mountain up here in Canada, but you never know. In California, in the High Sierras, and you're near the San Andreas, there could be whatever out there, but here you're more worried about slipping off a ledge, or if it's a winter climb. I mean, we've climbed low mountains like 7,200 feet up to the peak, but the one bigger one that was 12,000 plus, we only, as I mentioned before, got up 80% of the way. It was a winter climb, and we got blizzarded out. It was a 3-day jaunt, turnaround and back altogether. And, where do you go for a crap on the mountain? Have you ever thought about that? It's 30 below, and you're hanging your butt over a crevice, basically. So it's a bit difficult, but we were tied together with ropes. It was very safe. Safety was high in that feature. And one of the things you learned, we camped, the tents were warm. Boy, when you get into your tent at night with your nice 35 below bag and everything, that's, I almost don't even know you're out on a mountain range. But, as we worked our way up the mountain, you learn how to depend on people, and your leader is key. Well, I've often been a co-leader, and I've led a lot of things in life, but as you get up higher up, it gets more technical as you're nearing the peak, right? And what goes up must come down. Here's this Canadian dollar loonie, you throw it up, it comes up to a certain point, and then it comes down. Well, so you can see that's the law of gravity, right? And there's a stopping point somewhere there. You don't see it stop, but it actually stopped. It's like a roll-through stop almost, but not. It's actually a perfect stop, and then it comes down. And you could actually use that if you misjudged a stop sign, somebody thought you actually didn't. You could actually use that and say, no, I stopped, and here's how. You know, because you did, you knew. You know, it was, sometimes things are marginal in the debate of what's the fine line. Is what actually happened, what's right, whose view, whose perception. So anyways, that loony came down, and you too will if you fall off the side of a mountain. And from the Good Samaritan Pro side of our company, we're in times of judgment right now. God is judging the earth because it is the end times, and some of the dirt and crap that shouldn't have been going on in life is starting to come to the surface, where people have kept it hidden and smothered. And you're seeing all kinds of stuff in the media coming out, and in the courts like that. I won't get into it, but the point is, people can get opportunities to go up, but if you're not walking rightly with the principles I'm teaching and trying your best to, assert those into your life with your group and your team, when you're part of us at CCI, or belonging to us, I suppose, in that grouping, you're not going to maintain your upness for long. You're going to start to fall down and fall off. And you need me, because I'm leading in these principles, not just to teach a hill of beans to people. I mean, in a perfect world, I'd be laying on the beach in Bermuda with my feet in a hammock, and I'd be thumb typing you a message once a week and getting $1 million in the bank every week. But it's not that. We're on a journey. We're creating something, and we're going forward into a future. Nobody's been on this particular journey I'm teaching before. Nobody. Not in the religious, spiritual world, not in the business world. Nobody. And my old friend Chris Young, I mentioned in the last video, was bugging me on one of the canoe trips. He says, that Bernie, he's got a lot more guts than me, bringing a group of 10 people on a trip he's never been on before. And it was intense. People were always asking me questions, and I didn't know the answers to them until we found them out together. And I was just bold enough to take a first step ahead of everybody as I figured it out. There's a few little flaws in mix-up, but I learned something about my leadership and how to put people in charge better when I spelled out or whatever. So there's a way to go forward, and we're here, and it's very technical. The higher you get to that peak of that mountain, it's very technical. So you have to be careful to do your best, and only the best will rise to the top and lead others. If you think you'd like to, but you're not willing to put in the efforts to be very specific and do your best, you'll stay down and you'll follow, and that's okay. Everybody has their spot and their place. And there's an old ancient wisdom quote that says, man makes his plans from the desires of his heart, I suppose, but God determines his steps. God sets his direction. God establishes his or her direction. And that's a reality. You think you're starting out on something, you might not end up there. In the other world we go to, I hope you do. I hope you end up in the other world we're going to. I hope you followed my instructions clearly, what that means. It comes down to two things. Your core belief is in Jesus, and then doing all the right things that matter to him the most. The questions he asks on the last day based out of the book of Matthew. And those are all the things I teach in the Good Samaritan Pro, I suppose, and in the business side, things I've learned and dwelt and dealt with people in customer service through my whole life. How to treat people, that's a big one. And going forward, making sure justice and compassion and love are both there together. And in that equity sign you hang around your neck, you say, it's me, I'm it, I'm the one. and you tell people, I suppose you are, how you can come and help. And you've seen on my timelines, my four cornerstone um, core values are honor, respect, love, and truth. It's that simple. And that's the pendulum swings and all this stuff. And you stand in the middle of it all and you judge and run both sides of it well. And that's a core leader today, now in our core culture of millennialism and this next venture we're on. And we're going to go from there and go forward. And we hope there's a lot of people on this journey as we keep going. And Larry, one last thing, ELLison down in Oracle there. You probably got Donald Trump on your side, I suppose, with the vaccinations and this whole system for, future pandemics and everything. But you might not need me, but maybe I can help you in the grocery store vestige, farm to food shelf. I was a night manager when I was in college of a grocery store too, so I can probably business consult on that for you as well. Bernie May, Connections Consulting, wconnectionscon.ca, 403-519-3495. Live better, live well, and go with that.